Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Protection Paladin Supplemental Guide. My name is Tuskeh, and in this video we shall be supplementing what we talked about in the Protection Paladin Guide. We're just going to be doing it live, and hopefully this will provide you with some information. You can just see it happen live. You can see me do what I talked about, and hopefully be a pretty good tank in what is going to be a 5-man dungeon, because as a tank, we're going to get a pretty damn fast queue. But before we talk about that, there's a couple of things we have to go over. Now, before we enter a 5-man, we need to think about exactly what we're going to be doing. First of all, in terms of talents, so I've given a little bit of thought to this, and I've decided that I'm going to be going with Speed of Light to run between all of the different packs nice and fast, Fist of Justice for the ranged stun, Sacred Shield for the constant absorption. We want to be keeping that up as much as we can. That's going to be our weak aura down here showing Sacred Shield. We are going to be using Unbreakable Spirit, so we have more cooldowns available to us. Nice and simple. We're going to use Sanctified Wrath, which means we get to use Holy Wrath a lot more, and it also generates more Holy Power, which is great. Lots of AoE packs in 5-man dungeons. And Light's Hammer, which will just, you know like Light's Hammer is if you watch the guide. Just throw that hammer out. Maybe you can throw it on top of the entire group, really, because we won't be too spread out, which is going to be good. Now, for our level 100 talent, we're actually going to be going the difficult route. We're going to be going with Empowered Seals, which means we are going to be seal twisting in this video. But before we do that, I have to make weak auras for my seals, because as you can see here, this is a complete mess, but if we just disable all those, you'll notice that I don't actually have any weak auras here like I did in the guide, because I had a few technical difficulties with recording, and unfortunately, I blue screened at one point, and I lost my weak auras for my seal twisting. So what we're going to do is we're going to quickly remake them. It's not going to take very long at all. Should only take about a minute and a half or so. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a new icon here. We're going to call it we're going to call it Seal Twisting, Uther's Insight, because that's the name of one of the buffs. So we're then going to go to trigger. It's going to be an aura. It's going to be Uther's Insight. Got that in there. There it is. We're going to add the cooldown to it, so it will show us exactly how long we have left on it. And then we're going to make it a bit smaller. We'll make it 35 by 35. That's actually a bit small. We'll go with 45 by 45. There we go. That's a bit better. Then what we're going to do is we're going to duplicate it by right-clicking on it. Duplicate. Then we're going to go and rename it to Liadrin's Righteousness. I don't care if I've misspelled that. We'll just call it that. Don't want to misspell it here, though. Liadrin's Righteousness. So there we go. That one is now created, and we'll just quickly show the other one so we can get them right next to each other here, and then that should be all good. So if I just quickly activate my Speed of Light and run over to these training dummies over here, and I will start with Liadrin's Righteousness. Hit that, there we go, and you will see as I change my seals and then judge, I have the two buffs here right in the middle of my screen, nice and easy. Now these weak auras on the left are actually the cooldown and duration of my cooldown, so I can keep an eye on them. We don't need the Seraphim down here. I was experimenting a lot with my talents for this for the guide, so that's all good. Now that we've done that, I just want to quickly mention that I have my keybinds here. You can see them all except for here. I actually have Seal of Righteousness bound to Control 1 and Seal of Insight bound to Control 2, so that I can move between them nice and quick, as you can see there. So we'll start off with Seal of Righteousness, because that's what we're going to start off most fights with. So, now that we've done all that, we have to think quickly about what we are going to be doing as a tank. Remember that your role as a tank, hopefully you watched the guide and the tanking guide, which will go over this in a lot more detail. As a tank, your role is to control the situation. It's not just to tank enemies, it's not just to deal damage, it's to control the situation. And that involves anything, whether it's stunning an enemy, bubbling someone about to die, anything at all. So we're going to be constantly thinking about what we can do to help our group succeed, to control the situation. So we're going to just queue for a random dungeon and see what we get. And oh, lovely, we'll get a Savage Satchel. So here we go. Now, our basic rotation is going to be pretty simple. For most of the trash packs, it's just going to be keeping our Crusader Strike or Hammer of the Righteous, normally Hammer of the Righteous because we'll be dealing with AoE packs, on cooldown as much as we can, keeping Holy Wrath and Judgment on cooldown while Seal Twisting with Seal of Insight and Righteousness, using our Avenger's Shield with Grand Crusader as much as possible, and then the rest of the time we'll be putting down our Consecration, which I believe I also have the glyph with me. That's right, I do. So our glyphs at the moment are Glyph of Divine Protection, which makes our Divine Protection more versatile, which is great in a 5-man. Glyph of the Consecrator, so that it moves with us. Not necessary, but it's pretty cool. And Glyph of Final Wrath. Your Holy Wrath now deals an additional 50% damage to targets with less than 20% health. That's not a big deal. We don't need that. But as you can see, I don't have too many of them on me at the moment, so not too much of a big deal. If I were going to use one, it would probably be Glyph of Holy Wrath. Your Holy Wrath now also stuns elementals, dragonkin, and aberrations. So what we're actually going to do is we're going to head over towards the auction now, see if we can grab that before everyone accepts. And with any luck, they'll either wait or they won't. Oh, no. No luck, it won't be the end of the world, because there are actually no targets that could be stunnable, even with that glyph in this dungeon. So what we're going to quickly do, we'll get off our mount, and we'll just quickly turn the sound down just a tad. Just a tad. Okay, there we go. So it's not so loud in my ears. So, as a tank, one of the first things we're going to do, I actually need to change my voodoo options here nice and fast. I want to make sure I have all of the information available to me. There we go. We'll copy that. Get our Healthstone, that's going to help a lot. So we have myself, we have a Healy Paladin, we have a DPS Monk, we have a DPS Warlock, and someone who is not here. So we'll just wait for them quickly. Want to keep an eye on our healer. She seems like she's in pretty decent gear. Check our buffs quickly. It looks like no one's providing mastery, so that is what we will do, because we have a monk providing us with stats. And we have a hunter as our last dude. Alright, so we are just about ready at this point, so we're just going to keep an eye on these people. Yep, they're coming with us, and we'll just now engage. So we engaged with an Avenger's shield. We're just going to stun everything nice and fast, get our shield up as quickly as we can, make sure we enable our Avenger Shield. Then we're going to do a bit of seal twisting, making sure we're keeping everything on cooldown as much as we can. Going to activate our Consecration here. Going to interrupt that Demoralizing War. Going to stun this Incinerator because they do that nasty AoE, because they just did it on me once. Don't want it to happen again. Just keeping everything on cooldown. Going to hop back over to the other seal there. And we should be all good. We'll just aggro you because you're being really loud and annoying. And then just spending as much Holy Power as we can right now on our seal, not our seal, our Shield of the Righteous. We have a 5-stack. Can we interrupt this Blade Storm? No, we can't. That's a bit of a shame. We probably could have saved our Fist of Justice to interrupt that, so maybe we'll think about that next time. And we'll just throw out a Hammer of Wrath there, and we'll get a quick Judgment out just to finish him off. Okay, so it looks like everyone's good. The healer didn't have to use any mana there, so that's all good. We'll charge in here with our Judgment. We'll actually use our Divine Protection at this point. Make sure you're very liberal with your cooldowns, especially at the start of a dungeon, because you don't know how well your group's going to be doing. So we'll actually throw down a Light's Hammer at this point. A bit of a shame, because 2 of them just jumped off, but that's fine. Just going to make sure we're facing the enemies away from the group. That's very important. Always face enemies away from the group if you can. So I'm buggering up my seal twisting here a little bit. I'm a little bit rusty with it, but that's just fine. It's okay to let things drop off as long as you survive, because if you die, then basically everything's over. As you can see, I do have a 5-stack of Bastion of Glory right now. You can see in the corner here, or up in the buffs section. I do have that 5-stack. Just going to quickly consume that Grand Crusader. Going to change my seals around, and then we'll just... We'll stun Champion Druna. Oh, looks like we can't. She's actually immune. Looks like I don't have my combat text on, which is interesting. I'll fix that after this pull. But right now, everything's going nice and easy. We'll just throw down another Divine Protection here. Again, being very liberal with our cooldowns. We want to keep an eye on these arrows. Looks like they're not on fire, which is good. We want to make sure we're not ever standing in fire. So we'll just quickly go to interface. Where are you going? Looks like this guy has aggroed something. Okay, well, that's a bit odd, so we'll just put all that down there. So this is one thing to definitely think about. It's very important that you keep an eye on things, because as you see here, I actually saw the pet run off. We'll just say no worries, but yeah, we saw that pet run off there, and we used our situational awareness to basically figure out, hey, that pet's running off. There's no way that pet would run off unless it was trying to attack something, and if it attacks something, then it's going to get aggro, and that means we have to be on alert for that kind of thing. So this guy's like a little mini boss. He actually does quite a lot of damage, so we'll throw down our Light's Hammer to help ourselves out, and then the next time he does a Shattering Smash, if he gets a chance, which is probably not that likely, nope, we would have used our Word of Glory to make sure we heal ourselves up there. So just going to keep our Shield of the Righteous on as much as we can. Got a Grand Crusader proc there. And we'll just want to use our Grand Crusaders as much as we can, keeping our Holy Power nice and high to increase our survivability. And it looks like this Incinerator is being a bit of a bastard, but that's fine. Can't stop this this Battlemaster's Blade Storm. We probably should think more about that. Got to keep an eye out for those Battlemasters, but that's not too much of a big deal. So once we get our Consecration out, we'll Seal Twist a little bit more, get our stuff on cooldown, go back over to our different seals, and that's all good. So we're not actually taking too much damage here. We can just quickly check the healer's mana. She's pretty much at full. We're doing fine here. Now, I'm just going to quickly jump in here and aggro these guys, because I always worry about this when I'm fighting this boss. I always worry that I'm going to be taking a lot of damage. So here we go. I worry that someone is going to aggro. So we're taking a lot of damage at this point, but that's just fine. We'll throw down our hammer. We'll actually use our Guardian of Ancient Kings just to increase our survivability, keep ourselves in our Seal of Insight, making sure we're taking as little damage as we can, and that will keep everything under control. Control extends to much more than just making sure the enemies are attacking you. You've got to control how they deal damage to you. And if that means you've got to halve their damage at some points, then fine, halve their damage. That's fine. So now we're going to go back to Seal Twisting now that we're nice and safe. We'll actually stun you. Oh, he can't be stunned while he's doing that. He probably can't be stunned at all, so that's not a big deal at all. Going to quickly check our healer's mana. Just throw out a couple of heals just to help her out before we pull. And then we'll pull. Use our Seal of Light to get into position. And then that was nice and easy. So this is all good. We're just going to do a little bit of Seal Twisting here. Make sure we keep our Sacred Shield running, because it's going to provide us with a lot of passive mitigation. It looks like the Flesh Render has dropped. We're just going to quickly taunt him, move forward, get a bit of aggro on him. Nice and easy. So we want to watch out for Dreadfang running off and trying to kill people, because you will lose aggro. Kind of like that, but it looks like he's going to die before he causes too many problems. If he were going to cause a problem, speaking of problems, we're not going to attack this guy. We're just going to wait here, going to use our Divine Protection and refresh our Sacred Shield. Make sure we keep ourselves busy. If we're not casting spells, we're much more pointless. And although this guy does seem kind of bugged into the ground, we're just going to keep moving at this point. We're going to throw down a Light's Hammer, just so that the melee can run through it as we continue to move backwards. We're going to kite backwards to make the melee's life a bit easier. Want to keep him as still as we can at this point because we have no fire. Want to make sure we keep the melee out of the fire. It is our responsibility. And we fell a bit behind with our Seal Twisting there, but that's just fine. So, nice and simple there. So that's the Flesh Render dead. Now, there is a little trick you can pull off with these Ogre and Labourers, which is to just run past them both and then kill them with an Iron Star. But we're not going to do that. We want to actually fight them. And don't forget quest. So it looks like some people do have a quest hit, so that's just fine. So we'll just aggro the two of you. And we're taking a bit of damage here, so we'll use our Divine Protection. Looks like our healer is with us. That's good. That's all good. Make sure we don't run off without our healer at any point, which would definitely be a bit of a problem there. So it looks like we're taking a lot of damage here. We have a 4-stack of Word of Glory. That's fine. We'll throw that in on ourselves. As you see, that was a big old heal we had there. Combined with our Resolve, that's all good. So we're going to go back into Seal Twisting. We're taking a lot of damage here, but that's fine. If we ever feel like we're in danger, we can just throw out a quick Lay on Hands. Looks like we're getting pretty low, so we'll throw out a Lay on Hands here. Not sure what that was about. Maybe we overpulled a little bit there. Maybe the healer is struggling a little bit. It would have been a good idea to check her mana there. So, but that's all fine. We'll just use our cooldowns to help compensate, make sure we control the situation. Was a little bit close, but that's all fine. We'll just throw out another Word of Glory here to top ourselves off. And then just going with the basic rotation. Nice and easy. We'll finish off with a Shield of the Righteous. Now, I wonder how this healer's mana is. The healer's mana is just fine. We'll actually mark her with a star, just so I can keep an eye on her. That's a good idea. And by the way, this add-on here that lets me mark things really super fast, that's Opie. It's really powerful. So we want to make sure that we grab this Iron Star on the left here, because people have a quest. And we'll actually just make sure we kill that Ogre and Labourer that's walking there, because the quest is just to the left here. So we'll just fire that Iron Star off to give our people a bit of room, because they want to do the quest. So that's all fine. Looks like the other guys have fired off their Iron Stars, and we've pretty much decimated their entire line here. So that's all good. Just going to lag behind the group here a little bit in case they end up pulling anything. Looks like they're not going to. That Technician is a little bit close, but he's also by himself, so it's not a big deal in the slightest. That's all fine. So now we're going to move over to here. We'll make sure we pick these up. It's always a good idea to consider pick something up and attack something, as opposed to trying to get past them. It's often a good idea for you to be the guy that aggroes, because that way you will be the guy that aggroes. You'll have the aggro, you'll be ready for the damage, as opposed to as opposed to them attacking, say, your healer, and your healer just randomly dying, and then you're in a lot of trouble. So we'll just charge forward here with our Speed of Light, make sure we grab them all with that Avenging Wrath, go into our Seal of Insight, and throw out a quick Divine Protection to help with this. As you see, we're getting loads of Grand Crusader procs here, which means loads of Holy Power. Make sure we take advantage of that as much as we possibly can. I'm going to throw out a Word of Glory to help myself there a little bit. And just keeping our Shield of the Righteous as much as we can. That buff is a fantastic buff. We'll actually just move to the side a little bit here to give our melee a little bit more room, just so that they can DPS a little bit easier. So that's all fine. That was a nice little pull. We got loads and loads of Grand Crusader procs right there, which means that the whole situation was really good. Okay, so it looks like he just finished bombarding this section of the platform. Good timing. We can charge forwards, make sure the rest of the team is with us. More importantly, the healer is with us. So we'll actually throw down a Light's Hammer to start with, because we're going to be out of line of sight for just a quick moment. But that's all good. Combine it with a Divine Protection, and we are hunky-dory, so to speak. Okay, so at this point, we're going to keep an eye on our feet, make sure we're not standing in any chains. There are the chains. We're just going to move to the side a little bit there, do a little bit more seal twisting, using our Holy Wrath as much as we possibly can, and keeping our Avenger's Shield on cooldown as much as we possibly can. So it looks like that is another good bomb wave for us. Looks like the Warlock just grabbed aggro there. Make sure you keep an eye on things around you, because had we not reacted to that, that Warlock would have been in trouble because he just charged forwards. And it's important to note about the pace at which you pull, because as you can see, I'm pulling really fast. Well, not really fast. I'm pulling at a pretty decent speed. I'm doing really well with keeping up with the rest of the group, staying ahead of them, being the leader of the group, making sure I'm constantly keeping ahead of everyone, keeping all of the aggro. But you never want to slow down if you want to set a pace like that. You never want to slow down, because if you do end up slowing down, we'll just use a Divine Protection here to make sure we survive the transition over here. Then we'll use a War Stomp nice and quick, and then while they're all stunned, throw down a Light's Hammer. So that's all good. But yeah, if you set the... Let's make sure we don't stand in that fire. If you set the tone of a run as really fast and then suddenly slow down, chances are people are going to be going at the pace you have already set, and they might just pull without you. Just like there. I paused for a split second and someone pulled. That's not their fault. They were not ninja pulling. They were pulling because they recognized the speed at which I was pulling everything else in the instance. And for me to suddenly stop with no communication at all is my fault, and if I had let them die, that would have been my fault, not theirs for pulling. So make sure you keep an eye on things like that. The healer's mana is all fine. We'll throw out a judgment on her, and then do a bit of seal twisting. Make sure we keep them all together. We want to make sure we just quickly step to the side to avoid that flaming slash, and we want to tank these guys on top of each other. It's the flaming slash that we really have to worry about here, because as a tank, there's not really too much else to worry about. We tank Ariok and Makok. Make sure we keep our Sacred Shield up there. Do a bit of seal twisting. We'll actually interrupt that Blood Bolt because we can, just reducing the damage that everyone takes. We'll throw out that Light's Hammer onto everyone, keeping our Shield of the Righteous up, and then we're going to want to turn around because because Makok will very quickly be casting his Flaming Slash. There it is. We're just going to step to the side just to avoid that. Again, it's one of those things that a lot of tanks I notice don't do. You don't need to... looks like we actually popped her shield there. That's a little bit of a shame, but that's not too much of a big deal. So we'll do a bit more seal twisting here, trying to keep on top of things, even though I'm talking at the same time. Not the easiest thing to do. But yeah, important to note that there are things that you can avoid. You can avoid the damage of that fire slash. It's really not a big deal, and there is my new raid leader telling me to tank better. I'm trying. Okay, so at this point, there's nothing too much to worry about, and we're all good. Just keeping our seal twisting going as much as we can, kind of buggering that up a little bit, but as I said, I am kind of struggling because I'm also trying to think about what I'm talking about. It's all about practice in every sense of the term. If you want to seal twist effectively, make sure you practice. We'll throw down the Light's Hammer here to keep everything nice and stable. And that's all good. Keep an eye out for maybe one more Flaming Slash. There is that last Flaming Slash. Just going to step to the side, avoid its damage, and all good. So where is the loot? There is the loot. We get anything? No, we don't. That's not a big deal. So we're just going to head forwards at this point, making sure we are constantly keeping ahead of the group, keeping an eye on the healer's mana. It's full. Very nice healer going right here, and we'll just make sure we avoid this stampede. Can't be stunned. Just make sure you experiment with things like that, and we'll wait for this guy to come back to us. Now, these Wranglers, unfortunately, are really difficult to keep an eye on. Probably would have been a good idea to actually stun this Wrangler, because he actually... Oh, just want to make sure we aggro that. We didn't get too much aggro there. Make sure you have a good kind of a good... I don't even know what the word is. The nameplates, that's the word I'm looking for. It's a good nameplate add-on. I use Tidy Plates for this. Great add-on. Make sure you use something that lets you know when you have lost aggro, because you want to know that you've lost aggro instantly, because losing aggro is very bad, especially if you don't mean to. So, looks like we've actually lost aggro over there, as I just talked about. We'll just throw out a Judgment and a Taunt to help that. Throw down a Light's Hammer. Come here, you big bastard. A little bit of an awkward moment there, because I'm trying to stay close to these Wranglers, make sure we stun that guy before he disengages. So that's all good. And then he just disengages that way. Now, actually, a good idea with these guys is to put them with their backs against the wall so that when they disengage, they don't go anywhere. But that's not too much of a big deal right now because they are all dead. So we'll just quickly refresh our Sacred Shield at this point. And it looks like everything is good. Keeping our guy again on the healer's mana. Just going to do a bit of seal twisting as I charge forward here. Throw out a stun. It looks like the big beast can't be stunned, but that's all fine. And everything at this point is fine. We have a 5-stack of Word of Glory. If we ever have to worry about that, just going to make sure we step to the side of that Lava Blast. don't want to get hit by it, making sure we constantly avoid as much damage as we can with things like that that fire slash, with things like that flame breath, just controlling the situation. Control extends to more than just aggroing enemies. It means controlling how you take damage. It controls how the enemies moves, how your group moves. Control in every single aspect of the term. So, it's all good here. Just got to worry about this lava barrage. That's the barrage, not the breath, so that's all fine. There's the blast we want to worry about. We just want to step to the side. As you see, that blast is kind of like just like a little line of fire. Just want to make sure we take tanking them away from the group. Don't want them to have to move any more than they already are. Because it's all about a battle, really. That's what tanking is. It's a battle between you as a tank trying to make life easy for your team and the enemies trying to ruin your team's life. It doesn't matter if your team lives or dies. If they die, then the group is obviously not having a good time. But if they have to move a lot, if they constantly have to worry about your health, if they constantly... We'll just use a quick cooldown here to help survive this, because this is a pretty nasty pull. If they're constantly having to think about how you're surviving, if they're constantly having to think about their own health and you're not helping them as much as you can, then they're obviously not having a good time. And it's your role as a tank to try and make that as easy as you can. So just want to make sure that this grease file doesn't go into the melee. Looks like it isn't. That's all good. Keep an eye on your melee. Make sure they're not standing in anything, because chances are the tunnel vision DPSs that they probably are, they will probably stand in stuff unless you move. And if you can get away with moving, if it doesn't screw everyone over, then move. Make sure you actually do that, because if you don't, then people are going to die, and there's something you could have done about it, which is obviously terrible. So we'll just quickly move to the side here for this slash ability of his. As you can see, it's not too dangerous. It's pretty easy to avoid, but you want to make sure that you do as much as possible to make sure he doesn't actually jump through your group as much as you can. Because if he does, then they're going to take damage, and it's damage that you could have avoided. Now, there is a very nice trick with this boss. If he actually ever gets to cast his spell where he... Just stun this guy. Where he jumps on someone and mauls them, and you have to deal a certain amount of his health to stop it, you can actually Blessing and Protection it. So we'll just quickly Blessing and Protection it, make life much easier for that guy. And it was a Warlock, so it doesn't affect his DPS in the slightest, so that's all good. And then we'll just jump to the side here. Not the best positioning for that jump back. Could have considered doing that a bit better, but as you can see, constantly trying to make sure that it's easier for my group. If that guy is not stunned, if he's DPSing instead of being stunned, fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. So we'll just tank these walls nice and fast, because I'm pretty sure they don't despawn. Oh, there they go. Okay, that's all good. But yeah, using things like hand and protection to constantly keep people alive. And that wasn't too dangerous of a situation. But what if that thing could potentially one-shot him? It couldn't one-shot him if he's immune. So make sure you're using hand and protection. And as you see there, I didn't wait for him to target someone and then try and find him on my voodoo frames here, on my group frames. I pressed Shift V, which showed all of my friendly player frames, and then just targeted him nice and easy. Make sure you do things like that. Okay, so it looks like that's all good. The Warlock is all ready. So we will aggro Koromar, and we'll also aggro Skullock. Make sure we face them away from the group, just on instinct. And then we'll get to our seal twisting. So we'll wait for our judgment to come off cooldown. And then we will quickly judge, activate our Shield of the Righteous, and then go back to Seal of Insight for our survivability. Making sure we keep an eye on Sacred Shield there. Again, make sure you have weak auras and things like this set up so that you can constantly keep an eye on what you're doing. And other than that, everything is good. Make sure we aggro this guy, because he does aggro as soon as Koromar dies, and Koromar is the guy you target first. And now we have the Cannon Barrage. So what we're going to do at this point is we're actually just going to charge head first into it. Now, this can be really dangerous. What we're going to do is we're actually going to bubble it. Oh, no, we're not, because that didn't seem to work. Of course. My bad there. Now, let's talk about what happened there. I'm not entirely sure what happened there. What we're going to do is we're going to use the recap, because I just buggered up, and that is completely fine. First thing, if you make a mistake, first of all, admit to it, like I just did down here. If you bugger up, you bugger up. Nothing you can do. My plan for that was to charge forwards, use Divine Shield, and then just taunt the boss, and everything would be lovely. It would be nice and fast. Okay, it looks like we have just been rezzed, so we're actually just going to pick this up, and hopefully everything will be good. So what we're going to do now is we're going to use our... Make sure... Oh, looks like we've lost a little bit of aggro there, which is interesting. The monk is actually trying to pick this up. Good on you, Mr. Brewmaster. So we're actually just using our cooldowns at this point. Let's make sure we do this again. What we're going to do, we're going to charge forwards. We're going to press Divine Shield once. There we go. That's all good. So there we go. making ourselves immune to all that damage as we go forward. That is what I intended to do. For some reason, I buggered it up. It's potential that I just pressed the button incorrectly. So what we're going to do is just going to lay on hands that Warlock because we're feeling nice. So, yes, if you make a mistake like that, just admit to it. It's not the end of the bloody world. And as you can see, that does not mean the end of this run. And I did it correctly that second time there. It's all about learning. WoW is a learning process. If you bugger it up, you bugger it up. It's inevitable. Thanks for the run. Apologies for that bugger up. I can't spell that bugger up. There we go. So, nice and simple. Just make sure you apologize. Make sure, you admit to your mistakes. And, you learn. Second time, I did it all fine. So, there we go. That will conclude this video. We're going to conclude it with a bugger up from myself. But, you make mistakes. Nothing you can do about that. And I'm honestly not sure what happened to me there. It's very possible that I actually just buggered up and didn't press the button correctly. Maybe I had forbearance. I'm pretty sure I didn't. But in any case, you die. Nothing you can do about it. Thankfully, we were resurrected by the Warlock, which was a very good move on his part. Make sure you resurrect as quickly as you can if a tank dies, because otherwise, generally, the run's over. But the group did a fantastic job of just picking me up and surviving together. It's all about teamwork. I lost control of the situation there, and by losing control of the situation, the group suffered. So we're just going to quickly pick up this glyph, and that will conclude this video. If you have any thoughts, questions, comments, or anything like that, then just let me know in the comments below, or you can use the links in the description to contact me directly. We'll just learn this glyph quickly. And yeah, I don't really have too much else to say other than learn from your mistakes. Make sure you practice your seal twisting. Make sure you constantly... I just will unlearn Final Wrath and go with Holy Wrath instead. Because now it will also stun Elementals, Dragonkin, and Aberrations, which might be useful at some point. More stuns is always great. So yes, that will conclude this video. I hope you enjoyed it. And really, I don't really have too much else to say. It's all about learning. That's what it is. It's about learning. Make sure you constantly strive to learn. Make sure you constantly think about what you can do to make your group's life easier. And if you make a mistake, like I just did there, it's very easy to make a mistake like that. If that happens, apologize, figure out what you did wrong, and don't do it again. I was able to show it in a very quick kind of way there. I just charged forwards, died, not sure why, got resurrected, it happened again, and this time I did it right. I bubbled and moved forwards. That's what I intended to do, to make life easier for my group. It was a risk, and it didn't pay off because of the mistake that I made. And by accepting those mistakes, by learning from them, you'll become a better player. That's basically what raiding is. If you're worrying about what raiding is, if you're worried about getting into it, if you're not entirely sure what the process is, this is the process. You make a bunch of mistakes, you learn from them, and then you don't die anymore. And then the boss dies instead. That's what raiding is. That's what progression is. You just spend 100 odd attempts making mistakes, and then you win. So, like I said, that will conclude this video. I hope you enjoyed it and found it helpful. If you've got questions, let me know in the comments below, or just use the links in the description to contact me. As always, I offer my heartfelt thanks to my patrons for making videos like this possible. Thank you very much from the bottom of my heart, all of you patrons who let me die in World of Warcraft and earn a little bit of money doing so. Thank you very much for watching, and I wish you the best of luck as the protective knight of justice and honor.